How to help children manage fears. Fears are an inescapable part of being a kid, hiding behind the couch during a thunderstorm, being sure there's something in the closet, a monster, performing those endless nighttime gymnastics, 5 more minutes, one more glass of water, to avoid going to bed by themselves. When these fears rear up, as parents, our natural instinct is often to soothe and comfort. There's nothing under the bed, I promise. But realistically, parents can and shouldn't always be there to help kids calm down. Teaching your child how to manage their fears without parental intervention will help him build the confidence and independence he will need to feel more in control and less afraid, both now and as he grows up. The key is an invisible skill called self-regulation. Self-regulation is essentially the ability to process and manage our own emotions and behaviors in a healthy way. It's what gives us the ability to talk ourselves down or to feel things without acting on them. Most grown-ups practice self-regulation without a second thought. Think of feeling a moment of fear before reassuring yourself there's really nothing scary about a dark room. But for kids, building self-regulation takes time, practice, and space to learn, which means parents have to get comfortable with letting kids be a little uncomfortable as they figure things out. Don't fear fears. Being afraid sometimes is a normal, healthy part of growing up, and while kids do unfortunately sometimes face things that they are truly frightening, most garden variety childhood fears don't represent an actual threat. The monster in the closet is just an old coat you have been meaning to donate, which means they actually present an ideal chance for kids to work on their self-regulation skills. But for that to happen, parents often have to address their own anxiety first. We want to give kids the chance to practice getting through difficult situations, but for a lot of parents, they can be easier said than done. When you see your kids in distress, the natural response is to want to make it better, especially if the fix seems like an easy one. But though jumping that in might help your kid be less afraid in the moment and make you feel better, in the long run, it can make it more difficult for her to learn how to calm herself down. If kids get a message that mom or dad will always be there to do the comforting, there isn't much incentive or opportunity to learn how to do it themselves. So here's how to help. We don't want you to withdraw all support. We're not talking about suddenly putting your kid in his dark bedroom and saying, bye, be brave, see you in the morning. The goal is to gently guide kids along until they are ready to take the reins themselves. We want to provide the scaffolding they need to stand on their own. Help your kid talk about what is frightening him. Kids may know what they are scared of, but they don't always have the words to explain. Asking specific questions can help. For example, if the child is afraid of dogs, you could say, what makes dogs scary? Did the dog surprise you or knock you over? Is there a certain dog you are afraid of? Once you have a better grasp on what your child is afraid of, you will have a clear idea of how to help them work through it. Some common childhood fears are being alone, the dark, dogs or other big animals, bugs, heights, getting shots or going to a doctor, unfamiliar or loud noises, imaginary monster like the thing under his bed or in the closet. What we ask parents to do is validate, then move on. Once you know what the fear is, let your child know you are taking it and him seriously. When a child says something is scary, there's plenty good chance that they as adults don't think it's scary, but we always want to start by validating their feelings. For example, instead of, oh, come on, that wasn't scary, or what is there to be afraid of, try, wow, it sounds like you were scared, or I know a lot of kids worry about that too. Once you have offered reassurance, it's important to move on quickly. We don't want to dwell on offering comfort around the scary thing, because even that can become reinforcing and take on life of its own. Instead, start talking about how you would work together to help him start feeling braver and get to the point where he is able to manage the fear by himself. Make a plan. Work with your child to set reasonable goals. For example, if she usually needs you to sit in the room with her until she falls asleep, you could agree that by the end of the week, she will be turning off the light and falling asleep on her own. Once you have set a goal, talk through the steps you will take to reach it and be patient. For example, a plan might be Night 1. Agree that you will read 2 books, turn off the lights, put on a nightlight, and then sit there quietly with her, no talking or playing until she falls asleep. Night 2. Read 1 book, then turn the lights off and nightlight on. You will leave the door cracked and be right outside, but not in the room. Night 3. Read 1 book, then nightlight on and door closed. Night 4. Read 1 book, then lights out and door closed. It's important that you offer encouragement and be patient. Remember that change takes time, and fear is a very powerful feeling. Stay consistent and praise your child's hard work. For example, I thought it was really brave of you to stay in your room for half an hour. Let's see if we can get longer tomorrow. Let your child know you think they are tackled their fears, even if they aren't so sure yet. Say things like, "You have got this," or "You are being so brave," can help your child feel more confident. Kids, especially younger ones, may need a few tries before things stick, so don't give up if your child is still asking for that third glass of water or hiding from dogs on the street, even after you have started working on building bravery. Not all fears are the same. Helping kids learn to manage fears they face on a regular basis, like being scared of the dark or afraid of going to the doctor, is essential, but not all fears are created equal. Fears that don't interfere with a child's life don't always need getting over. For example, if your child doesn't like scary movies, that's fine. It may actually be a testimony to his self-advocacy skills, deciding, "I don't like this, I'm not going to watch." That's your child standing up to his needs and saying, "This is my limit." On the other hand, if your child's fears are persistent, overly intensive, or be interfering with their daily life, it might be time to seek help. Signs that a fear may be something more include obsessive worrying. Your child fixated on the object of his fear, thinking or talking about it often, or even when the triggering isn't present. For example, becoming terribly anxious months before his next dentist appointment. Fears that limit your child's ability to enjoy his life or participate in activities. For example, refusing to go to a class trip to the park because there might be dogs there. Finally, however, if your child's fears do seem like they might be something more serious, and there are signs of severe anxiety like panic attacks, compulsive or disruptive behavior, or withdrawing from activities, school or family, you should make an appointment to talk with a professional to see if more help is necessary. Thanks for joining me for this video. I'm Qiuyuan Liu, a clinical social worker at the Child Mind Institute. To learn more about anxiety disorders, visit childmind.org/anxiety support. There you will find everything you need to know about anxiety treatment at the Child Mind Institute, plus hundreds of articles and guides to help you support children who are struggling with mental health, behavior, or learning challenges.